A bit of a different kind of episode today. We're taking a look in the mirror and asking, why should you work with a travel agent? And if so, how to best work with a travel agent. And this isn't going to be an ad, let me tell you. I'll let you know how we do what we do and how you can work with us or whomever. That's today on the DIS Unlimited DCL Show. Hello and welcome to the DIS Unlimited DCL Show. I'm Chris Forbeck, one of the agents at Dreams Unlimited Travel, and thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. I mentioned it at the top. It's a little bit of a different kind of show, and it hits a little close to home, and we're going to try and do this as objectively as you can. We're going to talk about whether you should work with a travel agent, and we get it all the time on the DCL fan Facebook page. I see it on Reddit pages, stuff like that. Hey, should I work with a travel agent? We're going to walk you through what are the benefits of it. We're also going to talk about how to do it effectively. And we're going to talk about some of the myths that are out there. There are a lot of them, some common concerns that people share with us. And so, yes, this does apply if you work with Dreams Unlimited Travel, but it should also help you if you choose to work with another travel agency. So we're going to be as objective as we can. And here to walk me through all of this, of course, Dreams Unlimited travel agent, Elaine Edwards. Hello, Elaine.
Hi, friends.
And Dreams Unlimited travel agent, the person behind Dreams Spanish podcast, See Disney. That's Federico Argar. Hello, Federico.
Hello, hello.
And of course, we have an amazing producer, Jimmy Valdez. Hello, Jimmy.
Hi.
And Jimmy and hi, Jimmy. Jimmy and Federico, great for all of you to be here. Jimmy and Federico are getting ready. They're going to go on a Norwegian fjords cruise. So we'll have them back to talk about that coming up in a couple weeks. So I'm very jealous. I'm going to be watching that.
Yes.
So
you need a roommate? I'm available.
I know. We're going to talk about working with travel agents, and we have some news to talk to you. Sea trials for one of the new ships. Pretty cool. But I like to remind you that this is the ad part. This show, along with everything we do at the DIS Unlimited, DCL Fan, UO Fan, it's all brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel. We are experts at helping you plan your magical Disney cruise, a visit to a magical Disney theme park, your Universal adventure. Oh, Halloween Horror Nights going on now. Even other cruise lines. There's no additional cost to book with Dreams Unlimited Travel, none. But we're going to help you. We're going to give you insights into your Disney cruise, your port adventures, the ship, your Disney park, where to stay, your Universal adventure. This is literally what we do. And by booking your cruise with Dreams Unlimited Travel, you get a shipboard credit of up to $1,000, depending on the price of your cruise. And I always hear people say nothing's for free. This is one of these cases where, and we're going to talk about it later, but if nothing else, you get free money from us to spend on board, and it doesn't cost you an additional dime. Not bad. Best way to get started, dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. And I always put this moment of transparency, and I'm going to expand on it a little bit. In fact, I'm going to make us all sick of it today, but I think it's important. All of us, Elaine, Federico, me, we are all Dreams travel agents. This is what we do. So I'm going to say it up front. In most cases, we believe that working with a travel agent is beneficial. That's our we're going to try and be as objective as we can, but that's kind of our default place. It's why we do this. We'd like to make the magic more magical. So we're going to try and be as objective as we can through our discussion today, but we do this because we love Disney. We love Disney Cruise Line. We love these ships and these places. So we want you to have the best time possible. Our job here on this podcast and as agents is to give you information so you can make the best decisions for you and your family. And so we'd love for you to book with Dreams. If you work with somebody else, great. But I hope the information that we present today helps you as you do that. All right. I think I'm over-explaining, but anyway. A quick bit of news that happened. The Disney Adventure, this is the one of two new ships that's coming at the end of this year, so we're not far away. It's going to have its inaugural cruise on December 15th, 2025. It will be based out of Singapore. And that's when its maiden voyage will be on December 15th out of Singapore. It's doing sea trials. This is a one-of-a-kind ship. It's big. They bought it during COVID. A company went under, and so they bought this ship and pennies on the dollar. But it's also very innovative. There's a roller coaster on this thing. It's pretty cool. And it's now, you can now track where it's as they do their sea trials, you can track and see where it is. And in fact, the DCLfan.com has a page where you can see where all the ships are located right now. You just go to DCLfan.com. In the top menu bar, you go to ships, and then all the way down at the bottom, it will say ship locations. So you can see where all the ships are, and you can see the Disney Adventure doing its sea trials. It's pretty cool. Elaine, the big question about the Disney Adventure is that I keep seeing people buzzing about is, will it make a stop in the U.S. before? And there was talk about it doing Los Angeles, maybe doing will it make a stop in the U.S. before it makes its way to Singapore? And we haven't heard anything. I haven't heard anything official yet. So it's going to be interesting.
Yes, there are no official announcements that anybody on this show knows of. But we did see that there are port scheduled times. It's on the list for the Port of Los Angeles for a few dates in November. So my assumption, and what I'm guessing is going to happen, is that those will be media, a lot of media and special guests, kind of probably just cruise to nowheres on for 2 days kind of thing, because that typically happens anytime any company launches a new ship. They'll do a media tour, they'll have travel agents, all kinds of people, vloggers, all kind of people come on the ship. But because this is in Singapore, they can't get all of us to Singapore, nor are a lot of us willing, have time or money, or able to do that. This is an opportunity to get all those people on the ship. So that is what my assumption is for these dates. But again, we don't know anything yet because we've not heard anything official yet.
Yeah. We're certainly watching it. It will be. I'm not sure, and I haven't done the research whether this ship can even make it through the Panama Canal. So it has quite a trek that if it doesn't, it has quite a trek that it has to make. The big challenge with the Panama Canal is getting under the Bridge of the Americas. And there are some ships that are just too tall, and I just haven't looked to see if that works. So it'll be interesting. We're certainly watching. I mean, it needs to be in Singapore by December 15th, right? And I think that they may do the christening there. I don't know. We're all watching and waiting and eager to find out, because this will definitely be a different ship. And I'm going to be in June next year. I'm going to be doing the Disney Adventure, so we'll have a full recap when we get to do that. I have a friend who lives in Singapore, so I'm going to be spending some time, and I'll tell you all about everything that I get to do in Singapore, so you can hopefully help you plan if you're going to do the Disney Adventure. I'm not looking forward to that flight. All right, let's talk about working with a travel agent. I thought a good place, and actually I didn't think, much smarter people than me, Federico, thought maybe a good place to start, and I've done all my caveats, and I will continue to mention that throughout. But I thought a good place to start would be, we kind of do our introductions at the top and kind of say hi. But Elaine, tell me a little bit about why you do this job. How did you get into it, and why do this? Why does it bring you joy?
Well, the biggest reason on why it brings me joy is just the fact that for so many people, planning their vacation is such a big deal. And I know that it's a big deal. I know that it is so important to you, and that you are investing a lot of time, energy, money. You may be planning this for a year or more. I mean, it consumes your thought while you're sitting at work. I know, I've been there.
Right.
And so I like being able to assist you with that. And how I landed here is actually, I have always been going to Disney World since I was 2 years old. We went every year the day after I got out of school. We would leave and we would drive down, and it would take 2 days. And we did this every year. Well, as
That's awesome.
I got older and my kids, I started having kids when I only had one at that point. I said, well, it's time we need to start going to Disney World. Started researching, found the DIS, and got very consumed in all of the podcasts and the DIS boards and that kind of thing, and used them to plan my trip. Well, eventually, after doing that several times, I'm like, I really like this company. They seem like they really care about employees. Like, I want to work for this company. So I just wanted to work for the company. And I knew that as far as travel agents, you had to have experience. Well, I didn't have any experience because I was a graphic designer and director of marketing and PR for a nonprofit. And so it's not the same thing. So I actually found another travel agency that's kind of just like a hire anybody travel agency, worked for them for a year so I could say I had experience. Then when they opened up applications, I was able to apply, and I did go through several rounds and got hired. And so I joined the company in April 2017. So I'm at the time of this typing, I'm at 8.5 years. And I mean, I, it is fantastic. This is my full-time job. I don't work in the corporate world anymore. And so like I said, I love helping other people. I love that. I don't know, it makes me happy when I get people that get back from their vacations and they send me their pictures of, whether it's on Disney World or a cruise or that kind of thing. And I see these pictures and how happy they are and how excited they were to tell me, this happened or this happened. And it's just like, that just makes me so happy. And I have clients that will tell me, I have one client that I love his whole story and how he was a police chief and he worked so hard and he never had any time to ever take any vacations and come home after his kids were already asleep. And now he was retired and he was planning this giant vacation for his family. And I was crying when I was reading this, and it was it means a lot to me to be able to help you.
Yeah. I love that. Federico, how'd you end up doing this? Federico has a PhD, for goodness sakes, and so you have Dr. Federico if you work with Federico. But how'd you end up doing this?
So yeah, I started. I have a background in art history, and when I finished my PhD here in Colombia, I started working on publishing my book, which is from my PhD dissertation. And I finished that, and I wanted to do something different because a PhD is a lot, and I was like sort of like burned out with the academic world, and I wanted to do something different, something more that gives me like more passion. And I got a job in a travel agency here in Colombia. It was a luxury travel agency, very high end.
Right.
And I worked with them for a couple of years. And there was something that I loved doing it. I thought it was a job that I was not only good at, but I enjoyed doing it. But there was always something that didn't quite like make me feel complete because I wasn't. I mean, I love my country. I love Colombia, but I I love Disney more. And so I thought I thought of the idea of just changing to become a Disney travel agent because I didn't get to sell Disney in that agency before. And so I talked to Dreams Unlimited Travel and I told them, do you take travel agents from somewhere else outside of the US? And they said, yes, we do. And so I made the application. And when I was doing that, I realized that we didn't have this shows, this podcast, the website in Spanish, and I started getting a lot of clients from the U.S. that speak Spanish, and I thought, well, we need this information in Spanish too, and that's how See Disney, the Spanish version, came to life, and this was all
Fruition.
during 2020, which it was a very
The year that
interesting
shall not
year
be
to
named.
become.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was great because I got to have a lot of experience in what possibly is the worst scenario to be a travel agent. There was a lot of cancellation, a lot of people having different concerns, a lot of changes going on. Every day there was something new. And so being a Disney travel agent during that time, I think was challenging, but it was it was a good experience at the end for me as a
And
travel
we're
agent.
going to talk
So
about the COVID experience, because I think it to me it was such a demonstration of the value that we provide, apart and other from, it, we'll talk about it later, but we were really able to help our clients, I think, in during that period of time in a way that was very unique. I'll just give a little 90-second version of me. So I was a journalist by trade. Well, my love of Disney, I'm from the West Coast. Disneyland was my original park, and I loved going there. Always have, and still do. Still love going to the parks. Um, I was a journalist by trade. I covered boring stuff. I covered the business of government, so information technology management, that kind of. I actually had a radio show here in Washington D.C. On a radio station because we are so boring. That's the kind of stuff we do. And my joke always was, "You give us 22 minutes, and we will bore you to tears." I like the niche. And so I had a time of darkness, and I found out I had cancer. I was getting a divorce. I had, but it was one of those periods where nothing goes right, and journalism wasn't quite what it was. And I said, I really want something. I need something that brings me joy. And I've always been crazy Disney. The background you see, the shirts you see, this is not new. Um, and so I actually was on a Adventures by Disney trip with the DIS team, and started talking to John and team about whether I could do this, because I had no travel agent experience. Um, and eventually came on board and started. I started a little bit before COVID, so COVID was not my favorite period of time, but it was also a demonstration of the kind of stuff we can do for folks. Love what I do. I love those magical ships. I get to. I love helping people make their trips. My thing is I like making the magic more magical. So. And I always get folks who ask, "Thank you very much for asking." Yeah, I still have cancer. It's ongoing. I always say sometimes it's a monkey on my back, sometimes it's a gorilla on my back. I'm not. I'm going to be around for a little bit. So thank you for the kind thoughts. But it's I get to work in a joyous place, and so one of the lessons that I learned is we're not going to be around forever. So enjoy what you do a lot. So with that little introduction, let's Elaine, start with me a little bit about. Why should people even, and the people I often see on the DIS boards and places, why should I even work with a travel agent? What do you tell folks when that's their first question? Why should I even do this? I can just book it myself.
I like to tell people, we have people that will email us and will say, why should I book this through you rather than through the website? So, like we said, we're going to kind of keep this as general travel agent as possible, not walling off dreams and dreams benefits. But, the travel agent should be the epitome of being an expert in the destination that you want to go to. You know, we are Disney travel agents. We handle a couple other cruise lines, but for the most part, Disney and Universal, this is our 95% of what we book. We are 1000% experts in this. So somebody that has never been to Disney World before, somebody that hasn't been in, many years, even if you haven't been in 2 years, so much has changed just in 2 years. And so a travel agent is somebody that not only keeps up to date on everything that is changing every single day, but they are somebody that is going to be able to look out for discounts for you, show you how to save money, show you how to get what you are wanting and work within your budget. They are somebody, they not even their own expertise, but they have the expertise of their entire team behind them. So if it's something that they don't know, they are able to find out, whether it's talking to other travel agents within their agency, other travel agents outside of their agency. We have special connections inside the destinations or the cruise lines that we can get answers for. We can get problems fixed. They are there to support you before, during, and after your trip and help you have the best trip as humanly possible. Even if there are people, I have people that are, pearl cruisers on Disney, or they're annual
Yeah.
pass holders with Disney World, and they go all the time. But they still book through me because they know that I'm going to be able to apply discounts for them. If something goes wrong, I'm going to be there to be their advocate and just kind of have that, like, I'm in their pocket as their support if they need me, without me
Federico,
taking over their vacation and,
right.
them having no access to anything. So,
Federico, is certainly one of the things why people come to us, and we're going to be Dreams and other travel agencies provide that shipboard credit, right? They get up to $1,000 based on the price of your cruise, and we get it. But I always think that that may be what brings them through the door, but there's so much beyond just free money, right?
I think that what Elaine just said is very important because we are experts in the destination that we book and we help you plan. Of course, we have the tools to get information on many things that we don't know, including destinations that we are not experts on. But at least for me as a travel agent, I don't feel comfortable doing that. I don't. I think the expertise comes from one thing that is knowledge, and that is the information that we get, the things that we read, all the information that we can get about a certain destination. And the other part that for me is equally as important is the experience. Having been to that destination and applied all that knowledge that we get into a specific travel that we made as travelers. And so for me, it's very important to go to these places, to see the ships, to see the parks, and to actually experience as a traveler. So I'm able to give that information to my clients when they travel. And this is something that is part of the job, and it may be looked as the more fun and appealing part of being a travel agent, but we do it with a very specific type of view. Like when we travel as travel agents, and we look at all the
Right.
details, and we look at the clean of the space and the service, and things that for the majority of people are maybe something that they will miss. But we try to get into those points to be able to give them the information to our clients, how to best navigate each destination. So that expertise is something, that knowledge is something that, in my opinion, I understand for many people having, the up to $1,000 of onboard credit is very important, but that knowledge worth much, much more because it takes time, it takes research, it takes that ability to see things in a different way that you may not see it when you're just traveling as a tourist.
I had
Yeah.
I had a client who reached out just the other day because at the bottom of my emails I send out, I tell people when I'm traveling, because I like folks to know, and I have a lot of cruises set up. We're doing these series of profiles of the different ports that Disney uses, and as Federico was just saying, I'd like to experience those. So I've never sailed out of Galveston. I'm going to go to Galveston in February and get to know Galveston so I can tell you about it. But I don't want to do that without. I can do it through AI or something like that. But it's different when I'm there. I'm looking for. I'm a cruiser. I want to share that with you from a real perspective. I think that's important, and I think many people take that very seriously. And within Dreams, we also share that kind of information and take that very seriously. I think with a travel agency, you get expertise. You get may get perks. In addition to cruise credit, we also send out a gift basket, which is awesome, filled with stuff that you didn't even know you needed for your ship. So you get that when you book with Dreams. But I know other agencies do that as well. The big thing I think you also get is time savings and support when there is an issue. And in fact, I was working with a client earlier today who was having issues. It drug over from yesterday. For some reason, they were trying to make payment and weren't able to do it. And Disney Cruise Line was saying, hey, it's not going through. Their bank was saying, hey, we're not even seeing it. I was able to work with Disney and Disney Cruise Line and navigate this to make sure that we got this done. They happen to be doing a concierge trip, so there's a very limited time when you can do that. We got that time extended in order so we could deal with these issues, so they didn't lose. They want a very specific stateroom. So those kinds of issues we're able to deal with. This one was unusual. I'd never had that happen before. But in many cases, we've been there. We've done this. We've seen it. We've seen these problems, and we're also going to save you the time. I will tell you, I spent more than 2.5 hours yesterday dealing with this particular issue. One call was an hour and a half in and of itself. That's an hour and a half that other people don't have to sit on the phone dealing with those kinds of things. So that's part of our job, is just making the magic more magical, right? I know everybody dreams of sitting on hold with Disney Cruise Line for an hour and a half is kind of a dream come true. I always know I've done it a lot when I start hearing they have music that plays, and all of a sudden I'm singing the music, and then the call person will come back on, and like I'm in the middle of singing Hercules. The last thing that I would put in this particular section is, and particularly during COVID, we saw changes all the time, but there are always changes going on, and I don't care how many podcasts you watch, you're not going to be able to keep up on those, particularly if it applies to your specific cruise. And so this year there were new requirements if you were sailing out of the UK. We believe next year that will be true if you cruise out of Europe. We're going to tell you about those. We're going to give you very succinct what you need to know kinds of things, because we're watching this. This is literally what we do. Elaine, talk a little bit about, because I know we get confronted with a lot of myths, and I think the top one, and I always say it at the top of our show, it costs more. It doesn't cost you any more, right?
Right. And before we move on, I just want to kind of sum up what the both of you said is a 1000%. I agree with both of you. I even had notes going into the show. I mean, what Federico said, when we travel, I mean, through a lens. Like, we do not truly get a vacation. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I went to Nashville.
Work travel for nothing, right?
Nashville is not a destination that I sell. In a few weeks, I'm going to Pensacola, but the entire time I am literally like, while I was there, I mean, when we got to the hotel, I went and I took pictures and video of the whole room in the hotel and everything. This is not a destination that I'm selling, but I still did it, and I still like made notes and that kind of thing and posted it on my travel agent social media and that kind of thing, because it's just kind of one of those, like, you can't stop yourself. And when we are traveling as an agency, we sometimes do trips together as an agency, and Disney might split us up into like 3 groups and do some tours and that kind of thing. When we get back together, we're all comparing notes, and we're like, well, did this happen to you? Because this happened to us. And we're, going through all that and that kind of thing. And I mean, going to these destinations, it's truly, Dreams Unlimited used to have a rule that you could not sell a destination unless you had physically done it. So until I had gone on Disney Cruise Line, I was not allowed to sell Disney Cruise Line. And it makes 1,000% difference. And sometimes I hear travel agents and they say, well, I book everything. It doesn't matter where you want to go, I book it. And that is great. Girl, you do you. But until you actually experience it, it's a completely different level. Until I booked cruises to Alaska for guests, and then I went to Alaska, and my entire outlook changed. And I'm like, this is different. This is different than going to the Bahamas. I mean, so I have a giant Alaska like guidebook that I've now put together and written to send to my clients because there's just so much and it's so different and I don't want them to miss anything. And so it truly is like experiencing that destination. And when you are looking for a travel agent, no matter where you're going, ask them, so have you been on this destination yet, so that they can give you those firsthand experiences and responses. And just one final note on sitting on hold, my longest ever hold time is 11 and a half hours. And I do have the screenshot from my phone to prove it. I sat on hold for 11 and a half hours to work on client reservations. And so, and this is not uncommon. So
we have like within the company, we have like a competition for who stayed on hold the longest, and it's like one of the rungs of hell, frankly. Like who had to? Oh, that was a lot of rounds. You always know it's really bad when you hear the full round of music go. Oh,
yeah. Moving back to your original question was myths, and it's going to cost more. I can only speak for Dreams Unlimited Travel when I answer this question, that we do not put any extra fees or surcharges or extra percentages when you book through us. There are other travel agencies that do. So just make sure that whoever you go through, you ask them up front, is there a fee to get a quote from you? Some of them do charge a fee to get a quote. Does that fee then get applied to my deposit? Is there a booking fee? Is there an additional, there are some agencies that I know that if they're going to make your dining reservations and your fast passes for you, they charge an additional fee for that. Just ask those questions. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Everybody has their own business model. Not every travel agency offers cruise onboard credit. So that is not an automatic thing. That's not something that's coming from Disney. That is something that we are actually a gift we are giving you from straight out of our commission. So you have to ask the travel agent, what is your fee structure? Just have that conversation so that you know what you're getting into before you book with them. So, but
Federico, some of the other ones that I hear is I'm going to lose control over my reservation. I know Disney really well. I've cruised. I'm a Pearl cruiser. I don't need a travel agent. One of the ones that I hear is agents are only going to upsell. And I actually reached out to a bunch of the Dreams agents and say, hey, what do you guys hear out there? Susan Kelly, one of our rock stars, she said, a good agent tailors a trip to the client's budgets and needs. And she said, we're not trying to upsell anybody. We honestly want you to have the best time. We're asking budgets, not so we can we want to make sure you stay within your means. If you give us those kinds of, we're trying to help you, and we're trying to find the best stateroom, the best transportation. We'll talk to people like, okay, is this your total budget or just cruise budget? Because there are pre-cruise stays, there are transportation to the port, things like that you have to be aware of. But Federico, talk a little bit about loss of control and, hey, I know Disney, I don't need a Disney travel agent.
I think I want to add something to to speak about the new elephant in the room, which is AI. And because you were talking about changes and how in Disney destinations and Universal destinations, things change so fast and so much because there's so many things to consider, even the attractions themselves, the rides. And have experience with AI. There was a viral video. I think it was a girl from Spain who traveled to Puerto Rico, and she made a video when she was in the airport with her. I think it was her boyfriend, saying, we were not allowed to get in Puerto Rico because I asked AI, and she told me that we didn't need any documents to
Visa.
get
Right.
in there, and then we're gonna have to take a plane back because uh, we need a visa, and we didn't know. And I use AI. I think it's a great tool, but I have corrected AI a lot because they give me information that is not up to date, or that is wrong, or that is based on information that is not from a reliable source. And so having a travel agent that has direct connection with the source, with Disney and with Universal, in this case Disney Cruise Line, and we're able to call them and wait for hours just to get a simple question and a confirmation. And we also have a team of people, Disney Cruise Line representatives, and marketing and sales representative from Disney, that we can have a good connection with and good conversations to get that answers, um, clear for you. Is very important, and it's something that you're not going to get with these other tools, like artificial intelligence. So it's very important that you trust your sources, and you trust human beings who are able to again see things as travel agents, but also have connection to the knowledge and the information from a reliable source. And with things changes so much, I understand that for people who have other jobs, they don't have the time to be up to date with all the information that changes so fast. So having a person that you can text, every agent works in a different way. I like to give my clients my phone number, and I use WhatsApp or text a lot with them because it's just easier than sending an email. Some other clients prefer just email, but to have that person, that human being that you can reach to ask any questions, is fun. It's priceless. It's something that you're not gonna get with your experience, only because again, things change so fast that having that person, that human being, is important. And so yeah, I think that yeah, what was the other question? I forgot.
About because one of the ones that I think people really get concerned about is the control. They're going to lose control of their reservation.
Yeah, so with one of the mantras that we have in Dreams Unlimited Travel is that we help you as much or as little as you
Yeah.
need or as you want, because we have a lot of people traveling with us that have made multiple dozens of trips to Disney World, and there are some things that they do want to have as part of their planning vacation. For example, making the dining reservations. It is fun to pick and to get into the Disney app and make those reservations when you're in Disney World or when you're on a Disney cruise. So sometimes our job is just to, make sure that you remember that it's a time to make the reservations, but you want to have control over that, and that is okay. So if you have good communication with your travel agent, we are going to go up to where you want us to go and
Right.
help you with the things that you need. If you don't need help with something, that's totally fine. And of course, our suggestions, again, they come from expertise and experience, but at the end of the day, it is you as a traveler who are making the decision. So if you said, I understand what you're saying, but we do want this, it's okay. We are not gonna get mad or angry because you don't follow our recommendations. That's just not, at least in my opinion,
Elaine,
that's not how.
Elaine, we just did a show on how to find your perfect trip. That's kind of and in there I mentioned, and I should have mentioned it at the front, but the CLIA, the Cruise Line International Association, does an annual survey. One of the things they discovered in this survey is that people who book with travel agents have a better time on their cruise. I think that is part because we are going to help you find the ship that might be best, the itinerary that might be best. If you're a new cruiser, somebody says, "Oh, I'm going to do a 14-night across the transatlantic." Well, maybe for a first-time cruiser, you want to start with something a little smaller so you can see if you even like cruising. You don't want to be stuck in a ship. I'm happy to be stuck on a ship, but you don't want, if you've never done it before and you may not like it, you may want to start with something. We're going to have those conversations with you. How do you get folks, if somebody approaches you and you're just, what's the best way? What do you need to get so you can find that best kind of trip, the one that matches what they need, what they want to do?
Yeah, so we talked about this a lot on a previous show, and it's really about communication, and it is about you telling your travel agent what your priorities are and what is most important to you, what you want your vacation to look like, how much control you want to have, if you want to do nothing, if you want to do everything, and there's some mix in the middle. If are you a person that you prefer to that I send you an email every single week with that's this long and it's got all of the information, or if it's a person that send me a quick 2-minute video and knock it all out. Then it's everybody learns, everybody plans a different way. So just talking to your travel
Yeah.
agent and telling them, hey, this is what I want from my vacation. That way they can talk with you. And like you said, there's so many things and little intricacies that it's almost impossible for just an average traveler to know. I think about this a lot with selection of staterooms on cruises.
Yep.
We just went through a giant cruise release with Disney Cruise Line. For me personally, it was one of my busiest ones in over a year. And we have a little quote request form, and on that form you can put what category of stateroom you're looking for. A lot of people will select 7A as their veranda, and I think the reason that they select it is that they think it's just going to be the cheapest veranda, or it's on deck 7. And what they don't know is that those verandas are typically aft, and they are typically enclosed. It is not your typical like glass balcony veranda that you think of when you picture veranda in your mind. And so,
Partially obstructed view.
right. And so being
Yep.
able to, and like I said, on the Magic and the Wonder, it's an actual, like, it's room. There is steel all around you with an open air porthole window. So
Yep.
you may not know that. And I mean, I had silver and gold people that were doing this. And so when I sent them the quote, I said, hey, here's what you asked for. Here's what it is. Here's how much it is. If you are actually wanting this traditional veranda type, maybe midship, this is how much it would be. And this is where it would be located. And same things happen with these ocean view rooms. There are 4 different categories of ocean view rooms on Disney Cruise Line, and they are all completely different, and they are different on each class of ship. It is very confusing to people. So being able to just explain that you're not going to be able to get an ocean view room midship on deck 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it doesn't exist on any ship, but you can be midship on deck 2, or if you want to be on deck 7, you're going to be forward. So it's like we know these things, and sometimes it's things that you can easily find on the internet.
Yeah.
So
Federico, one of the things that I always get are people who they either want something that doesn't exist, like they want that portal stateroom. But one of the challenges that we always have is we're not booking our trips. We're booking your trip. And we won't know. I can tell you where I like to be on a ship, but that may not be what you want. And one of the examples is people with kids. There are some people. I always had a veranda stateroom. My kid, when he was younger, is not. I didn't have to worry about him climbing, and it was not. I was never worried. He is a cautious kid. It was not an issue. There are people who are worried about their kids, and now I always tell folks, and I used to be able to say this does not happen on Disney ships. Of course, we had an incident a little while ago. It generally does. This is not an issue, and I'll walk you through the ways of that your safety is paramount. But in the end, some people say, I want a portal stateroom because otherwise I'm going to be too nervous. So we're always the best way to work with us, I think, is to communicate what your concerns are, what you need. And Federico, I know you get it. People say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm asking too many questions." Don't apologize. Ask questions. That helps us get to know what you want, right?
Yeah, everyone's different, and sometimes when I travel as a tourist, like I'm not working as a travel agent, I don't really care for many of the things. And so I understand sometimes that for many of my clients, they don't really see a difference and they don't care. And they trust us to give them the best option possible. And sometimes we have a lot of people who have, as you said, Chris, many questions and many concerns. And it is important to have that communication with your travel agents to let them know, even let them know if you don't care, if it's not something important to you. Like, yeah, I trust you. I know you will pick the best stateroom, the best times, the best schedules, the best itinerary, the best suggestions, because to me, it doesn't make a difference. I want to have the best time, and that's it. But that's part of the communication that you need to have with your travel agent. And for me, as a travel agent, that is why it's so important to open up the communication, to make my clients feel that they can reach me anytime they want, even to repeat things that I have told them before. Like, I understand that planning a Disney cruise vacation or a Disney World vacation is not your main job. It's not. You have a work, you have something, and you have a life with all different things that you have to take care of. And so sometimes you don't have the time or you don't have the energy to keep that information that I'm giving to you. And that is completely fine. And I understand that. And with all the 5 years that I have worked as a Disney travel agent, I understand that for many people, it's like, I'm sorry, Federico, I know you told me this before, but could you repeat that because I forgot? Yeah, no problem. I can, I have that. For me, having that safe space of communication is one of the most important things that I work as a travel agent, to make the other person feel safe and feel comfortable to ask me everything that they want to ask me, all the times that they need to ask me, and also to respect the space that they want. If they don't want the information, if they don't want to ask the question, also I understand that, because I think silence is also part of the communication. And I have clients who book with me and I never heard from them. They send me an email like, I'm back from the vacation, thank you so much for everything, take care, bye, I'll send you an email when I want to travel again. And I understand that, and I respect that as well, because I feel like I'm like that too. Sometimes I don't want to talk and I don't want to have those conversations with people, and sometimes I do, and I do have many questions, and so I try to put myself into that place of the client and just open that space for them to reach or not reach whenever they want.
Part of the process of planning your trip is how you like to plan. And some people, they want to, like, all of a sudden they're going to do this all at the end. And if that's your style, it's not my style. So I'm going to keep you up to date about everything that's coming up. But if you get to plan your trip, it's your trip. It's not my trip. There are, if you want to do your port arrival form, online check-in, a week before, it's going to have ramifications. I'm going to let you know that, again, providing you information so you plan the trip that you want to do. Again, not my trip, it's your trip, but we provide you with the information. So communication is awesome. And one of the other things that I have, we all have a bunch of clients who cruise regularly, and we know, like, they like a specific stateroom. Some people, it's a specific room on a specific ship. They want that room. They like those. They like that style. So we get to know that as we get to plan more of these. As Susan Kelly also mentioned, one of the questions we often hear is, "I'm seeing a different price online." If you're seeing a different price online than what we're telling you, chances are we're not doing an apples to apples comparison. If we're going to get you the same price as if you book directly with Disney. So if something isn't matching, let's talk about what there's something else that's going on there. Last thing I wanted to mention was some pro tips. For me, when if I'm booking a Disney trip, I want somebody who specializes in Disney. There are all sorts of great travel agencies out there. But doing a Disney trip is a unique thing. There are also different levels of travel agencies. There are some where it's people who don't. This is all of our full-time jobs. This is literally what we do. I always chose to work with somebody that this is what they did, because I think they just watch this. There are great travel agents, and they do it part-time, and they're awesome. And I know a bunch of them. It can be a different experience. So just some of the questions that you may want to ask before you get started. Elaine also mentioned the fees. There are some agencies that charge additional fees. That's fine. That's their business model. Good for them. It's not what we do, but if they do, just, you want to be aware of it and just make sure you know what you're getting into. So, Elaine, anything else we need to cover about this?
Yes. So I do have two things. One,
Yeah.
if I would also talk to your travel agent, if, like you said, some people do this full time. They do this all day long. This is what they do. Some people do this as a side hustle, and they're only working, 3 hours before they go to work or whatever. Just if it's somebody that you don't know, just ask them, what are your office hours? Do you have office hours? That kind of thing. That way you have a realistic expectation, because just that way, and it's same with like going back and forth on emails. I tell my clients, I work very hard to respond to you within 48 hours. If that doesn't happen, just email me again, because I get a lot of emails and stuff gets buried fast, and I have 1,000 tabs open, and I promise I haven't forgotten about you. I just haven't gotten there yet. So I try to, tell them that as well. And so that's kind of one of those things. The other thing is when we're talking about booking it yourself versus booking a travel agent. If you're going to book something yourself, great. I would highly recommend that you book directly with the destination that you are going to and no place else, whether that is flights, cruises, hotels, whatever. Something that a lot of people don't know is that if you're booking through one of these big booking websites, that a lot of them have cancellation policies that you don't get your deposit back, or there's no refunds at all. And we found this out, especially during
COVID.
the COVID times. We had so many people coming to us because they were having problems because they had booked their trip through the same big store that they buy their bulk toilet paper through. And
Costco.
the problem is that, again, they do not let you cancel for a refund, and there's no actual travel agent. There's a booking agent. There's somebody that eventually booked your trip after you put your information in the website, but they are not going to help you plan your trip, book those dining reservations, help you in an emergency, all of these, backdoor support things. And these people, when we were going through this, they couldn't figure out, and where all these cruises were getting canceled, and we had all of this future cruise credit madness, and like people that had booked through a site or a big box store, like they were just lost. They had nobody that they could talk to. They couldn't talk directly to Disney because they're not going to talk to them because they didn't book through them. And it was an absolute mess. So I just really just know terms and conditions of anybody that you choose to book through.
Yeah, and I particularly wanted to. Costco will be the only one that I actually call out. Love Costco member, love the company, go there all the time. Love the organization. I personally would not book my trip through Costco. Yes, they give you they don't do cruise credit. They give you money to spend at Costco, and it's great, awesome. They're transactional. They're not going to provide you with support, and we've seen that before. If that's what you want to do, awesome. Just go in eyes wide open. Again, we're providing you information so you can make the best decision for you and your family. But be aware that if you have issues, it can be complex, and we just deal with a lot of folks who are in that situation. Unfortunately, you can only transfer your cruise within 30 days after it's booked, so you can't I can't help them at that point. It just becomes complex. So it's not a bad thing. Again, I'm not saying I love Costco. They're all the time. Always, I always say when I walk through the door, they might as well they charge me $300 to walk through the door because I don't seem to be able to get out for less than that. But just be aware of it. Federico, anything else you wanted to add before we wrap up?
No, I think we cover
awesome.
everything.
Well, with that, we are going to wrap up. As I always say, we'd love for you to book with Dreams Unlimited Travel. I hope this didn't. You'll let me know if it did. We tried not to make it too advertiser, but we'd love for you to book with Dreams. We love what we do, and I always tell people I was a Dreams client before I was a Dreams agent, so I know the value. The best place to start, dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. You select Disney Cruise on the first page, on that front page. On the next page it will ask you itinerary. If you're looking at multiple dates, there'll be a place that says special requests. You can say you don't have to fill out 4 requests for four different dates. Just say, hey, I'm looking for this time period or something like that. Again, more communication, the better. On the second page at the very top, there's a pull down menu of all our agents. You can select Susan Kelly. You can select Elaine. You can select Federico. You can select select any of the Dreams agents. They're awesome. But if you want to reach Elaine specifically about something, Elaine, how can they reach you?
My email is Elaine, ELAINE, at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. And if you are just wanting to work with me and get a quote, the fastest way is to go straight to the website, like Chris said. And I just want to mention too, Susan Kelly is awesome. Like, I ask her questions because I know if I don't know, she knows. So, yeah.
We have a great team, and I should have mentioned that Federico touched upon it, but different agents will work in different ways. So some people, Federico's great. He's text. For me, texting is not a way that I can. I'll text you when we have an immediate situation, like I was texting back and forth with this client that I was to get him paid, and we were texting back and forth about that. But in general, email works best. But everyone's different, so just ask your agent about how to do that. Sorry. Federico, how can they reach you?
My email is federico@dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Federico is FEDERICO at dreamsunlimitedtravel.
And you don't have to. Do you have to put Dr. Federico or just Federico?
No,
is
you
fine.
don't.
I'm kidding. And you can go buy his book.
Freddy.
Just kidding. If you want to reach me, Chris V at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. And yes, there's a Chris, so I'm Chris V if you want to reach me. I'm also on social media, yensidtravel.com. At Yensid Travel on most social media platforms. Yensid is Disney spelled backwards. It's also the sorcerer in The Sorcerer's Apprentice. Oh, and we've added a new way. If you want to reach out to us, you can leave us a message. Just go to dclshow.com/message. message. For some reason, it's always hard for me to say slash, but there you go. And you can just record a message. You can do it right from your phone. It's nice and easy. We've had a few messages come in. It's great to hear from you. So you can give us show ideas and anything you want to share with us. You can do that. Special thanks to our producer, Jimmy Valdez. Hi, Jimmy. And a very special thanks for you for joining us. We really appreciate you being here each week. Depending on where you're watching or hearing this, please like, subscribe, leave us a review. Really does help. Oh, we got a 5-star review the other day. I'll mention that next time. Love that on Apple. So if you can do that, that really helps people find us, which is great. And that is, I was watching Ralph and the internet the other day, and there was the character that's the algorithm. Well, there's these algorithms out there. I don't understand how it works, but it works. So if you have topics, you can leave those in the YouTube comments or on the DCL fan Facebook page, where we have a whole bunch of people discussing Disney Cruise Line. And of course, you can send us a message, dclshow.com/message. There, I got it. And or you can just send me an email. You can do that too. With that, safe travels. We'll see you real soon. Thanks.